I've been trying to record this video for a while now. I think this is like my third attempt at making this video within the last 2 weeks. And the main reason why is because every time I've done this video, I've kind of lied to myself. I've kind of tried to portray the image that I am very confident about this season and that I really believe in this team and that I really believe that we're going to get top four football. But even in that sentence, you kind of begin to see the problem. At Manchester United, the standards we should have from the players to the owners to the fans should really be about winning. Our standards should always be about winning. We should never go into a season and think, you know what, if we finish fourth this season, it would be great. And if we ever have that type of attitude, then it means that we're not confident about the season. And I am not confident about this season. And I don't even think we're going to finish fourth. I think that we're going to finish between 7th and 5th. You know, not to waste much time, not to waste a lot of your time, but that is my prediction. I think that this season will finish somewhere between 7th and 5th. I think that at worst, we finish 7th, and at best, we finish 5th. I don't think that we're going to be challenging City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea. I think that those teams will. I think those four teams will make the top four. I think that's pretty much a given. And if anything, you may have Newcastle there if Isak stays. But currently, the way we're playing football and the way this team is set up, I don't think that we're going to be able to do that. And I'm going to explain that bit by bit, and we're going to kind of go by position. I think that if we start with the goalkeeper and make our way forwards, it kind of helps to understand what my problem is with this team. And actually, let's work our way backwards. I think that working our way backwards will make a bit more sense. And if we start with the attack, I am quite confident about the attack, at least on paper. When it comes to on paper, we completely changed our attack this summer transfer window. I think the last few summer transfer, and I mean last few, if we look back a decade, I think 2016 was very good when we bought in Zlatan, and then 2017 was also very good when we bought in Lukaku. And I think that offensively, those two, and also when we bought in Bruno, but Bruno was a bit more special. I think that Bruno was a bit more of an outlier because we all wanted Bruno to be good, but Bruno very quickly became one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. We wanted him to be great, but Bruno's a different case. And when we're talking about the attack, I'm talking about the front three, and I feel like Zlatan and Lukaku were kind of our best signings in that sense. But this summer, we just kind of done that 3 times. If we had just signed Cunha, it would have been good. But you get Cunha and Mbeumo and Sesko, and I've talked about these 3 so much that I won't waste your time with it. And I know you guys kind of know what's happening with those 3, but it's just we went last season from being a team that was creating a lot but not able to convert our chances to now having 3 clinical players up front. And I feel like they all offer different things. For example, Cunha is very good when it comes to ball progression and link-up play. And Mbeumo is a clinical finisher with insane pace. Sesko is someone who up front, like you just make sure you put the ball inside the box, and Sesko will find a way to put that ball behind the net. I'm very confident about the attack. The reasons why I'm not confident about this team have nothing to do with the attack. I feel like this attack will be very good. The only caveat to what I have just said is that we haven't seen them do anything yet. Again, on paper, it looks amazing, but we haven't seen Sesko and Mbeumo and Cunha do any of these things just yet. So it will just be a question of seeing how well they will do. And I did say that I was going to give them 3 games. I'm going to give them 3 games to kind of embed themselves into the team. I won't really criticize anyone within the first 3 games. But after the 3 games, if they're not performing, then we need to go in on them. However, I fully back them for the first 3 games. They've not played with each other. They kind of need that time. They need that time in the training ground. They need that time in like game. They need game time together to really flesh out what's going to be, in my opinion, a great offensive season, at least when it comes to our attackers. So in that sense, I am very confident. What I am not confident about is our midfield, and I've talked about our midfield extensively, and it kind of just my problems with our midfield get summarized in these few key points. And point number 1 is that we are currently asking our midfielders to do too much. That no one has a set role. For example, if you're going to have 2 midfielders in kind of the setup we have, it would be ideal to have two box-to-box midfielders. Normally, we've been playing Bruno and Casemiro. And Bruno and Casemiro, they're not two box-to-box midfielders. Casemiro is one of the greatest holding midfielders we have ever seen in football. Casemiro is one of the greatest holding midfielders we have ever seen in football. Bruno Fernandes is one of the best attacking midfielders we have ever seen also. Bruno has been very unlucky in the sense that he hasn't really won anything. He hasn't won anything at Sporting, and he hasn't won anything at United, at least when it comes... he's won the FA Cup and stuff like that, but no true major trophies. And in that sense, you kind of don't really put Bruno in that light. But when you watch Bruno play football, when you look at his numbers, when you look at the impact he's had at Sporting and United, it's kind of hard to argue that Bruno is one of the best attacking midfielders that we have ever seen. So you've got these two midfielders, and you're kind of asking them both to be box-to-box midfielders. You're not maximizing Bruno. You're not maximizing Casemiro. We've seen where Bruno gets maximized. Bruno gets maximized in that number 10 role, or at least as an 8 that is allowed to roam freely with a holding midfielder. Whether at Sporting or at United, that's where Bruno has really excelled. Casemiro excels as a holding midfielder. We've seen what he was able to do at Real Madrid, and we've seen what he was able to do in his first years at United. Right now, Amorim is kind of asking them both to do more than what they excel in, and taking away from what they excel in as well. It's a very weird dynamic, because they're not playing in the positions that they both prefer, and they're also doing things that they shouldn't really be doing. Bruno should not be getting the ball from the goalkeeper. That should not be where Bruno is playing. And Casemiro shouldn't be asked to just be constantly running up and down the pitch, because there will be those gaps in their games. Like, no football player is perfect. It's like asking Ronaldo to also, like, prime Ronaldo all of a sudden to start tracking back as well. Like, come on. You're asking prime Messi to start tracking back as well, and also be this, like, you're asking these guys to do too much when we should be maximizing them. When I look at how City have played, when I look at how Liverpool have played, when I look at how, just the best teams that we have seen over the last 10 years have played, they've maximized every single player on the pitch as much as possible. And at the minute, with our midfield, I don't think that's happening. And people are saying sign Baleba. Yes, getting a new signing in would be great, but I'm much more interested in Amorim. He can keep the same formation if he wants to, but just allowing the system to maximize the players he has, and not try and fit the players into the current system that he thinks is best. So in that sense, the midfield is the area of the pitch where I feel very uncomfortable with. And I've just talked about Casemiro and Bruno, but you still have Ugarte, who is a great ball retriever. He wins the ball back very well, but he's on the bench. Kobbie Mainoo, amazing talent on the bench, and that's part of the reason why I don't really yet trust Amorim's midfield. I trust Amorim as a character. I think he's the right type of leader. I trust him as a coach and his track record so far. I just don't trust this midfield. And I can be completely wrong, and we go into this season and this midfield performs. But at the minute, I just do not trust this midfield. And then you have our defense, and our defense also gives me confidence. I think there's a lot of talent there. A lot of players that were injured last season. De Ligt was there in his first year as well. Lena Yoro was there in his first year. And now, with more reps under Amorim's system, Lena Yoro, Matthijs de Ligt, Lisandro Martinez coming back from injury, and even Harry Maguire coming off the bench, I think that is very solid. Luke Shaw coming back into the team, the development of Dorgu, seeing Diogo Dalot back, Mazraoui back. There's a lot of confidence that I have in our defense, and I feel like our defense can really go back to being one of the best defenses in the league. Because don't forget, in Ten Hag's first season, I know it was with David De Gea, not Onana, but in Ten Hag's first season, we were the best defense in the league. And a lot of those characters are still there. That potential is still there for us to be one of the best defenses in the league. It's just about now, really and truly, is also a lot about timing, because we had a lot of injuries last season, and those are over. So in terms of our defense, I am also feeling very confident about. In terms of our goalkeeper, I am not confident about. Both of the options we currently have are not the best. We've gone from having David De Gea, who in his prime, you could make a very compelling case that David De Gea was the best goalkeeper in the world. We went from that, someone who I believe that David De Gea in his last season was not very good. I don't think David De Gea was very good was very good in his last season. But even David De Gea, towards his worst, was still able to win the Golden Glove. So that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a goalkeeper who, even at his worst, was able to win the Golden Glove. And now the way Onana has been playing for the last few years is just it's poor to say the least. It's poor to say the least. So it's going to be very interesting how we do in that regard, because there are also these Donnarumma rumors. So we still have time to try and get something done. But this goalkeeper situation also does not fill me up with confidence. And then you look at the problems we have in our team. There are definitely good points. Again, I trust Amorim as a character. I trust kind of the way he's been able to build relationships with the players currently. However, I just don't trust his midfield. The goalkeeper, that's not Amorim's fault. He didn't pick the goalkeeper, so he has nothing to do with that, really and truly. Amorim kind of just has to work with what he has. But in terms of the midfield, I feel like Amorim could do a bit more from a setup perspective and not just cry about the players that he has. Look at the players that you have. They may not be the exact players that you want, but you must be able to adapt. And the reason why I think we're going to finish 5th or 7th is not because necessarily that, we're that bad, but it's just because our rivals are very good. Chelsea looked very good last year. Arsenal, we kind of mock Arsenal, but Arsenal are on it, and they just got Gyökeres. City went to sleep last year. I expect City to go back to their best. Liverpool, we saw it in the game against Bournemouth. Even when they struggle, they still have enough offensive power to bury games. So those 4 teams will be the top 4. I think that if we play our cards right, we could finish 5th and still get Champions League football, and that should be the aim. But that's part of the reason why I'm not confident about the season, because we should be aiming to win the league every single year. I know it's a rebuild phase, but even in that sense, we shouldn't be in this situation. We should be aiming towards being the best team possible in England. And yeah, that's why I'm not confident about the season. I hope Amorim can kind of prove me wrong. I also was not confident about Ten Hag's first season, and that kind of went the right way. So, I'm going to always be supporting the players. I'm always going to be supporting the manager, and I hope they can do the best possible. However, when you look at everything, when you have a holistic view of what's happening in this team and around the league, I feel like 5th is what we could really do. But anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching this video until the end. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. Do all those things to please help me grow this channel. And as per usual, I'll see you guys soon.